Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to The Explainer. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to unpack a system that most of us literally never think about until we absolutely have to. We're peeling back the curtain to uncover the complex machinery operating behind the scenes of Victoria's accident towing industry. It's a heavily regulated world that springs into action the moment things go wrong on the road. I want you to put yourself in the driver's seat for a second. You've just had a stressful accident. Your adrenaline is pumping. In that chaotic moment, who actually takes your vehicle and under what rules? Thankfully, for most drivers, crashes are a really rare event. But because they're so rare, we usually aren't familiar with our rights, the costs, or the choices we actually have to get our damaged car safely off the road. And you know, that exact lack of familiarity is why this whole regulatory ecosystem exists in the first place.
So, to make sense of all this and see how the system is being optimized for you, we're going to break down the Commission's recommendations into 6 quick pillars. 1. The post-crash reality. 2. The hidden towing ecosystem. 3. Current rules of the road. 4. Improving the tow queue. 5. Protecting vulnerable consumers. And 6. Fair fees and the future. Let's get to it.
Our roadmap for today is the comprehensive 2015 Essential Services Commission's final report. The ESC is Victoria's independent economic regulator, and they were tasked with reviewing the economic regulation of accident towing. Their goal? Making the system fairer, faster, and way more transparent. It's a fascinating deep dive into an industry that sits right at the critical intersection of public safety and consumer vulnerability. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the post-crash reality. Being in a crash is highly distressing. And that's what makes the dry, bureaucratic nature of these economic regulations an urgent, deeply human issue. As the Commission points out, standing on the side of the road right after a collision is absolutely not the ideal time to be making complex logistical and financial decisions about towing or smash repairs. I mean, drivers might be in shock, they probably don't have their insurance policy memorized, and if they aren't at fault, they might have no idea who's actually footing the bill. It is an environment just ripe for confusion. Moving right along to Section 2, the hidden towing ecosystem. Okay, the absolute crucial takeaway here is that accident towing is a heavily regulated standalone service. It's totally different from trade towing, like your basic breakdown assistance. Think about it. If your car just breaks down or gets towed from a clearway, that's trade towing. That's completely deregulated in Victoria because, well, consumers generally have the time to shop around and make an informed choice. But accident towing? Entirely different ballgame. Operators need special accreditation, a specific license, and they follow strict rules, simply because the consumer at an accident scene is inherently vulnerable. Now, what's really wild is that accident towing is just a subset of a much larger body repair and insurance ecosystem. It doesn't operate in a vacuum. The towing operator might actually co-own a smash repair business. Insurers have their preferred repairer networks and are increasingly vertically integrated. It's like a giant puzzle where the lines blur very quickly the second your car leaves the accident scene. Actually, ESC chairperson Dr. Ron Ben-David really hit the nail on the head here. He highlighted just how complicated these interwoven commercial relationships are when things go wrong for a driver. The Commission noted that a lot of the real consumer issues actually sit downstream in the smash repair industry, which, by the way, is regulated under general consumer law, not accident towing laws. But because the tow truck driver is that crucial first point of contact, they often get tangled up in these broader industry dynamics. All right, let's jump into Section 3, Current Rules of the Road. So, how do they actually manage this geographically? Well, Victoria is basically sliced up into different zones. In the controlled area, which covers Melbourne and Mornington, fees are strictly capped by the government, and jobs are handed out through a super strict roster called an allocation scheme. Down in Geelong, the self-management area, they also use a roster, but the fees aren't strictly capped, they just legally have to be reasonable. And then out in the rest of Victoria, the unregulated area, there's no roster system at all, though fees still have to meet that reasonableness standard. Which brings us to Section 4, improving the tow queue. To avoid the total chaos of multiple trucks literally racing each other to an accident scene which used to happen and caused massive congestion, the allocation queue dictates a strict step-by-step dispatch procedure in those controlled areas. Once an accident is reported, the system grants an exclusive right to a single tow operator. That operator and nobody else is the only one legally allowed to attend the scene. But, there's always room for improvement. To modernize this queue system, the ESC recommended things like proximity benchmarking and double tows to clear scenes faster. See, they found that the current system usually dispatches trucks based on where their depot is located. But in reality,
drivers often park the trucks at their homes, especially after hours. So, the Commission recommended looking into a GPS truck-based allocation system instead. They also suggested giving operators a real-time online portal so they know exactly where they are in the queue, and allowing double tows so one single truck can haul away 2 cars from a multi-car pileup. Talk about a game-changer for clearing up traffic.
Next up, Section 5, Protecting Vulnerable Consumers. Instead of overwhelming drivers with a bunch of new laws, the ESC recommended something incredibly simple but effective: Scene of the Accident Education, attached directly to the mandatory tow authorization document. When a tow truck arrives, the driver has to sign an authority to tow docket. The Commission wants to leverage that exact moment. By placing clear, simple information and warnings right on the reverse side of that docket, drivers can quickly understand their rights before they sign their vehicle away. But they didn't stop there. The Commission realized that while the tow truck driver is heavily regulated, the real danger to the consumer often happens later, like unwittingly agreeing to unfair smash repair contracts. So, they push for a massive, multi-agency campaign. We're talking Vic Roads and Consumer Affairs Victoria coordinating to build a dedicated government website on exactly what to do after a crash. The whole goal is to empower drivers before they make an expensive mistake. And finally, Section 6, Fair Fees and the Future. Look, the government absolutely has to keep capping costs where competition is restricted. In Melbourne's controlled area, the allocation scheme effectively hands the tow operator a monopoly for that specific job. You don't have a choice, so the government steps in to regulate the price and keep it fair. But out in the unregulated country areas, the Commission was pretty concerned about instances of unreasonable fees, so they recommended shining a light on those areas with a brilliant, low-cost notification scheme. Basically, rural operators must confidentially report their maximum fees to Vic Roads. Vic Roads then publishes aggregated, anonymous data so everyone, consumers and operators alike, knows what the going rate should be. Ultimately, understanding this hidden ecosystem is your absolute best protection on the road. The regulations we've explored today are designed to protect you in one of your most vulnerable moments. By moving towards smarter queues, enforcing transparency in rural pricing, and equipping you with the right info right there at the crash scene, the system is evolving to put the driver first. But honestly, the final piece of the puzzle is you. So the next time you hit the road, take a second to ask yourself, if the worst happens, do I actually know my rights? Stay safe, stay informed, and thanks so much for joining us for this explainer today.